You know I wouldn't do this if I had any other choice. But he's my friend. So was I.
Hey guys, this is Tom Leo signing in. Welcome to another episode of Movie Nerd Corner. Joining me for the first time in this whole year, practically, David.K.
Hi, I'm back. I'm finally back.
You finally decided to return. Unfortunately, Zach Pones and Ninja Brendan could not join us this time around. Zach started this full-time job, and so he'll be really busy, and Brendan is just finishing up with finals at his school. So we're going through a pretty bit of a tough phase in our life. Unfortunately, it's just going to be the two of us this time around. The movie we are going to talk about this month is Captain America: Civil War, which has actually been ranked the #1 best superhero movie in Canada to date. Mm-hmm. And I can see why, but at the same time, I posted this on Twitter when we were watching the film. I thought it was a really good film, like it was a definite must-see, but there are some plot holes in the film that I thought needed to be addressed. It's definitely a lot better than Age of Ultron, I felt like. This movie, unlike Age of Ultron, I felt like this movie lived up to the hype. So as always, we'll be talking about the 3 key aspects of the movie, including story, character portrayals, and effects that went into the movie.
Keep in mind that before you watch this video, notice that there are going to be spoilers.
How do I keep forgetting to
stay
say
tuned.
that? So without further ado, let's get all civilized in this war. See what I did there?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, Tony.
If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
Political interference in the Avengers' activities caused a rift between former allies Captain America and Iron Man. So first off, let's talk about how we felt about the movie after when we exited the theater, because we had some pretty strong strong opinions about the movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, as I said, I felt like it was a really good movie to see, but the biggest plot hole that I felt like puts me on the edge of this movie is Zemo's plan. His end goal plan of splitting up the Avengers, like forcing them to turn on each other, that was a really good plan. Like, that's the biggest key point in the film that makes this movie so good. It's just the way he went about doing it that doesn't seem to make sense to me in a way. What do you think of the film?
I thought it was really well done. I thought Zemo's plan was incredibly genius and very dark. And then Avengers deciding to take sides between either Iron Man or Captain America.
Yep.
And then eventually almost killing each other.
So, opening scene. In 1991, the brainwashed super soldier Bucky Barnes is dispatched from a Hydra base in Siberia to intercept an automobile carrying a case of super soldier serum and assassinate its occupants. One thing that I felt like was a bit of an issue, is when scenes sort of repeat themselves. Like, you know when they show you one big crucial point in a video, and then later on they show you that same scene but adding one more detail.
Yeah.
That kind of annoys me.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because when we find out in the near the end of the film, the occupants Bucky kills are Tony's parents, Howard and Maria Stark. Repeats kind of annoy me. Like, when people leave stuff out and then they leave it as a bit of a surprise. I don't know. I just felt like they should have just let the whole thing out. Like, I understand why they did it at the end, so there's the big reveal. But honestly, do we need to see that twice in a row with just one more added detail?
Yeah.
It just kind of annoys me, you know?
I'm honestly a big fan of that. I just think it works, and then that way the audience really waits, and then we find out in the end why this scene was shown at the beginning.
In any case, approximately 1 year after Ultron's defeat in Sokovia at the hands of the Avengers, Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, Sam Wilson, and Wanda Maximoff stop Brock Rumlow from stealing a biological weapon from a lab in Lagos. Rumlow blows himself up to avoid capture. Maximoff tries to displace the blast into the sky with her telekinetic powers, but it destroys a nearby building, killing a number of Wakandan humanitarian workers. Yeah, that big, like in the future scene, that's pretty heavy stuff. It sets the tone perfectly for this movie. More people get hurt in this scene, and it's like, holy crap. And you remember that terrified look on Wanda's face at the end of it all? Like,
yeah.
damn.
She's like, what did I just do?
Yeah, I mean, this is a person who spent her whole life under Hydra's influence, was freed by Ultron, and had to work for him until she realized what he was planning on doing. And then her brother gets killed, which that kind of weighs a lot more down. And then all those people getting hurt does not help.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. So in this scene, Rumlow, for those of you that haven't seen Captain America Winter Soldier, he was a Hydra agent who infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a whole big plot on it. If you haven't seen Winter Soldier, what the hell are you doing with your life? Go watch it. It's a great movie.
Yeah, about that. I haven't seen it yet.
You're dead to me. Rumlow was in Winter Soldier. It almost looked like he got burned in a building or something like that, or crushed in the building. I don't know. It's been a while since I saw that movie. Still great, though. But he comes back as the Hydra mercenary Crossbones. And one other key point that happened was because Crossbones had explosions all over his vest, like as a bit of a failsafe. He tells Captain America that Bucky remembers him, which catches Captain America off guard, and he almost would have went down with it, but as I briefly stated, Wanda tries to stop it and contain the explosion. Like, she throws him up and couldn't keep it under control, and the blast ends up hurting more people.
Yeah.
Not very good in the eyes of the public. So at the team's headquarters, U.S. Secretary of State Thaddeus Ross informs the team that the United Nations are preparing to pass a Sokovia Accords, which will establish a UN panel to oversee and control the Avengers. This causes the team to divide Tony Stark's support to oversee because he feels responsible for Ultron's creation and Sokovia's destruction, while Rogers has more faith in his own judgment than that of the government. So it's basically a matter of, would you let the government decide your actions for you? And it just took me now to realize that this is a very big topic. Like, having the government take control of what you do, essentially. That's been a really big topic for decades.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, there's a lot of movies that have come out and it's talking about like that.
Personally, like, here's the thing. I don't normally like going into politics and stuff like that because there's always going to be a fire war whenever you talk about politics.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't like any form of government, not even our own. They always tell you that they're going to do something. They're going to make the big change in the world. Still haven't seen it yet. I'm honestly on Captain America's side in this scenario. I don't feel like the government has the world's best interest when it comes to our safety.
Mm.
But I can understand Iron Man's side of things. Like, he was the one. Well, technically, he and Banner created Ultron, and it was like that led to the whole thing with Ultron taking Sokovia, using it as like a meteor. Even though there were like thousands or millions of people that got saved, there were still thousands of people that got hurt during that time of crisis. And there's so much destruction that follows. And even if you're like one of the people that is like away from it, from the collective hold, if you're somewhere in there, you're likely to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, especially for Iron Man, since he was the one who pretty much caused the whole Sokovia destruction, since it was him that created Ultron and everything. So I can understand why he would feel like he doesn't want to put the world in his hands anymore. And I felt like that was a very good, it was portrayed really well. Robert Downey Jr., you did really good. At the conference in Vienna, where the Accords are to be ratified, a bomb kills King T'Chaka of Wakanda. Security footage indicates the bomber is Barnes, who T'Chaka's son T'Challa vows to kill. After being informed by Sharon Carter of Barnes' whereabouts and the government's intentions to kill him, Rogers decides to apprehend his old friend alone. Rogers and Wilson track Barnes to his hideout in Bachards before it is raided. As Barnes and Rogers escape, they are chased by T'Challa, but are eventually apprehended. This is the scene during the highway, the chase scene in the highway.
Yeah.
This was the introduction to the Black Panther, who we've been waiting to see for quite a while, because Black Panther is a really interesting character.
One of my favorite moments in that whole sequence definitely had to be when Black Panther comes out for the first time. And then I believe it was Rogers. He was fighting him off on the rooftop. That was just, I was blown away at that scene. I'm like,
Black Panther's costume design, that's pretty cool too.
oh yeah, it was great. And then Iron Man came in and he's like, "Okay, I want to find out who this person is," because no one knew him.
Yeah.
He was just completely unknown.
Well, until the end when he was completely revealed. Oh, one other thing that needs to be pointed out. We later find out that the bombing is Baron Zemo. And it's all and he uses this to frame Winter Soldier. This is the thing that starts Baron Zemo's plan. It's just a start of a big string of coincidences, and you'll see why later on. Hamlet Zemo tracks down and kills Barnes's old Hydra handler and steals a book containing the trigger words that activated Barnes' brainwashing. Infiltrating the facility where Barnes is held, Zemo recites the words to make Barnes obey him. He questions Barnes and sends him on a rampage to cover his own escape. Rogers stops Barnes and sneaks him away. When Barnes regains his senses, he explains that Zemo is the real Vienna bomber and that he wanted from Barnes the location of the Siberian Hydra base, where other brainwashed Winter Soldiers are kept in cryostasis. In the beginning of the movie, like when this part happens, we think, okay, he's after the other super soldiers in the Siberian base. But look at what he had to do in order to get to this point. First of all, he had to frame the Winter Soldier by making it look like he was the bomber. Like that's got to be some kind of like digital networking or whatever, like digital skills, whatever, something digital. I don't know. Like I'm trying to recall what happened in the movie and try to read off of this at the same time. Sometimes it just doesn't work out in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, he had to get the trigger words. Like, do you remember when he went to the guy's house and then he was like drowning? He was gonna like drown him in the sink.
Yeah.
He did that in order to get the book, which contained the trigger words for Barnes's brainwashing. Then he had to get into to the, I don't know where this was, some government facility to act as a psychiatrist and get Barnes and read the words to activate Barnes's brainwashing.
But he got the words from the guy that he tried to drown in the sink?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember how he... Okay.
He just like went... Yeah, like, actually that's a good point. How did he find the guy, first of all?
Yeah.
Because he had to have known where the guy lived in order to find the book, which contained the trigger words, and get the book in the first place. All this just to determine where the other super soldiers are. When you first see this, you think, okay, it makes sense. He wants to use the Winter Soldiers for something, right? But as we're going to find out later on, that's not the case. Unable to wait for authorization to apprehend Zemo, Rogers and Wilson go rogue and recruit Maximoff, Clint Barton, and Scott Lang to their cause. With Ross's permission, Stark assembles a team composed of Natasha Romanoff, T'Challa, James Rhodes, and Vision, as well as Peter Parker, to capture the Renegades. Oh man. Now, I honestly felt like the first half of the film, like to the point where everyone's been recruited to join their cause and whatever. Everything up to that point, like that first half, whatever, I felt like was kind of slow.
It was very slow.
The first half is all exposition mostly, and it's kind of
leading up to the rise in action.
Right, yes, exactly. Which is the main fight, the thing that everyone has been wanting to see for some time. It just felt like it was a little slow. Especially when they got Sharon Carter was retrieving Cap and Sam's equipment, the shield and the wings and everything.
Yeah.
And then the stupid kiss. Like, oh my God. I'm just like, and you were at the theater with me when this happened. You heard everyone going, yes, finally, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there thinking, is this really necessary? Like, come on. In the amount of time you had them kissing, anything could have happened to make that movie go faster. And you wasted it on that. They're wanted men. Like, she's probably a wanted fugitive now after that.
Yeah.
But sure, let's mac faces or whatever while we're getting hunted. Like, sometimes people just do the stupidest things. Stark's team intercepts Roger's team at the Lesapig Hala Airport. Jeez, that's a mouthful. Where the big fight begins. That fight sequence, I think this is one of the main fights in the entire movie that everyone was looking forward to. It's a whole 6 versus 6. Hey, it's kind of like a Pokemon battle, kind of. Except it's everyone. It's not just like one-on-one.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what to say about that. That was probably one of the best action sequences in a superhero movie that we have gotten in a long time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This fight scene in the at the airport is one of my favorites, probably my second favorite, next to every other fight scene in the Dark Knight movie. This was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I want to talk about a little something before the fight starts. It's Spider-Man. His costume. Specifically with his eyes. When I saw how his eyes moving in the teaser trailer, I thought to myself, what the hell is this? It's like,
it was pretty weird.
Seeing seeing any kind of mask eye move at all, it just, I honestly feel like that kind of technique only works in cartoons and for Deadpool in any media. Like, you saw the Deadpool movie, right? Yep. You saw how his eyes moved, and you know it's all CGI, but it fits for Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
It does not fit for Spider-Man in the cinematic universe at all. But that's what I initially thought. But when I saw the movie, you can actually see how it's being moved. There's like robotic limbs that are like making the eyes squint, and to me, seeing it now, it makes sense, but I feel like it's completely unnecessary. What do you think of the fight scene? I felt like I said, this was like the most action-packed fight scene I have ever seen in a superhero movie in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like it was a really big highlight of the film. I felt like it was just the thing that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
This is the fight scene that lived up to the hype, I felt like.
Okay, so 2 things. One, I really enjoyed
The beginning portion of the fight scene where, like, just before it starts, where both teams are
They're just running at each other.
I'll get to that, but it's more like when they're talking first, trying to come to resolve the situation.
To show reason.
Yeah, to show reason, but of course they don't. So yes, then they charge at each other, which is just, it's so good. The music is going crazy, and just hype is building up. And then I also enjoyed Spider-Man because he brought a lot of humor to the fight. He kept talking all the time.
Yeah,
and then
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Iron Man, I believe, was the one that said, it was Iron Man. He said, normally we don't talk much, but you talk a lot. Which that was so great.
Yeah.
It was clever.
Well, here's the thing with Spider-Man talking, if like Spider-Man isn't talking, making quips during any kind of fight scene, it's like popcorn without butter. Yeah. Just plain wrong. And one of my favorites from the fight scene is when Ant-Man finally, like, we finally see a giant man. Like, Ant-Man turns into giant man.
That was sick.
That was, holy crap. And it's like, the way it happened, it was like, I did this once in a lab. But he actually goes ginormous. We finally got Giant Man for a change, because we never got Giant Man in the original Ant-Man movie. But what I really enjoyed was, and this works because Disney owns both Marvel and Star Wars now. As Spider-Man is going, did anyone ever see that movie, Empire Strikes Back? And he's just like...
Just like the AT-AT from Hoth.
Exactly. They're just using his webbing to wrap around Ant-Man. It's like... And Iron Man's like, hey, I think the kid might be onto something. Iron Man and Rhodey just like attack and then boom, goes down. Unfortunately, though, Team Cap does not succeed in this fight. Most of them had to go down in order for Rogers and Barnes to escape. In fact, Black Widow actually lets Rogers and Barnes to escape. Because Black Panther was like right behind them, and he just like she stuns him and stuff like that, and she says like, "I said I'd help you track him. I didn't say I'd let you hurt him."
Yeah.
Anyway, the rest of Rogers' team is captured and detained at the Raft prison, while Rhodes is partially paralyzed after being inadvertently shot down by a vision, and Romanoff is forced to disappear. You know, she was aiding the fugitives. You know how governments work, like all that stupid BS crap.
Yeah.
So Zemo leaks evidence that he framed Barnes for the bombing, promoting a change of heart for Stark, who seeks to help Rogers. Stark shows this evidence to Wilson, who gives him Rogers' destination. Without informing Ross, Stark goes to the now abandoned Siberian Hydra base and strikes a truce with Rogers and Barnes, unaware he was secretly followed by T'Challa. They discover that the other Winter Soldiers have been killed by Zemo. Zemo shows them footage he found in the base archives, which reveals that it was Stark's parents whom Barnes killed in 1991. Enraged to learn that Rogers was aware of this, which I don't exactly know when Captain America would have learned that it was his parents that Bucky killed. I guess it was sometime during the Winter Soldier that I missed. I don't know. Stark turns on Rogers and Barnes.
And he's furious, like absolutely crazy.
Yes.
He does everything to try and kill the Winter
Barnes.
Soldier.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Well, before we get to that, I want to explain something else. Like I said before, like in the beginning of near the beginning of the film, you think, okay, Zemo's after the Winter Soldiers, and then you find out he kills them, and it's like, what? Like, I mean, I know his end goal is to break up the Avengers for. I think they were saying like he was a victim in the Sokovia attack or whatever. Like I don't remember, and he's trying to get them to kill each other practically. But look at what he did. What he does to get to that point. He frames Bucky, causing Captain America to aid Bucky, and the team starts to split. They fight. Zemo leaks out the evidence that he did it to Iron Man, and he goes over to the Siberian Siberian base, where Rogers and Bucky are trying to stop Zemo for what they think they're going to use the Winter Soldiers for, only to find out that he doesn't use them. Like, it's like so many goddamn string of coincidences. Like, if I'm not making any sense, it's because Zemo's plan, like the way Zemo goes about achieving his plans, just doesn't make sense to me. Like, a whole string of coincidences, as I said already. It's just
he's sick in the head. That's all we gotta say.
Yeah. And just think about all you could do with the Winter Soldiers. Like, he could have done a lot more damage if he didn't kill the Winter Soldiers. Like, those guys we see are pretty tough. They even defeated Bucky in a flashback scene. But in any case, then we get to the repeat of the crash in 1991, where we find out Howard and Maria Stark are the victims of Bucky's attack, which, like I said before, repeats, not my thing. Like, if we've seen it once, we've seen it a million times, but it's just, I just find it so annoying when they show the exact same thing and then reveal this one crucial plot point that's supposed to somehow make it all better, but I don't know. It's I hate repeats. Like, I hate anything. I hate repeats and like everything. Like, I hate repeating myself whenever, and I repeat myself a lot during these videos, as you probably know. And it bugs me whenever I edit my videos and I have to cut out the repeats. I'm like, oh my god, stop repeating yourself, Tom, you asshole. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up before I repeat myself again. So you go and explain what you thought of that part.
I don't like. I mean, I remember a little bit of what happened in that situation, that sequence, but I don't remember a whole lot. All I remember is Iron Man got super pissed at Rogers for not telling him. Like, then that leads up to the point where they start fighting each other, and I seriously thought that Iron Man was about to win. And then once Rogers really kicks his ass, he falls down. I seriously thought Iron Man was gonna die right there because he just cracks open his
the arc reactor.
The arc reactor, yeah, that was scary. And you even see his face. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how he survived that. Because in the first Iron Man movie, his arc reactor got taken out and then he died, basically. And then, what's his assistant's name? Starts with a G, I think. The blonde-haired girl. I forget her name. But she comes out and she has to put a new one back in his chest.
Oh, that's Pepper Potts, I think.
Pepper Potts, yes, thank you.
That's not a G.
No.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, there's no arc reactor in his body anymore. At the end of Iron Man 3, they got that out.
Oh, okay, I see.
But
anyway.
In any case, Stark also blasts off Barnes's robotic arm, and as you said, Rogers disables Stark's armor. And Rogers departs with Barnes and leaves behind his shield. Man, that end scene where Iron Man says, like, you don't deserve that shield. My father made it.
Yeah.
Like, it's... and then Cap just throws the shield down, and it's like, that's when I felt like Zemo, like, pretty much won at that point.
Yeah.
It got really intense during the 2v1 fight that I felt like could not have been made any better. This was one of the other fight scenes in the movie that definitely lives up to the hype. I was definitely on the edge of my seat. I really enjoyed it. Like, so much emotion, so much impact, so much distrust, betrayal. Like, nobody can seem to trust anyone at this point. And now it's just an all-out brawl, which I felt like was really well done.
Oh, yeah.
Satisfied that he has eruptingly fractured the Avengers, avenging his family's death in Sokovia. Yep, Sokovia, just like I said. Zemo attempts suicide, but T'Challa apprehends him.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So that's the basic part of what happened, but like T'Challa, I forget when this happened, like Zemo leaks out the footage and I guess T'Challa sees that footage too, or whatever, and he realized Zemo's the one who killed his father. And like, in the snowy outside of Siberia, he like takes off the mask, slowly walks up to him, and then there's like this emotional confrontation where Zemo is explaining about his experience during Sokovia's attack in Age of Ultron. Like, the way he wants to get revenge, like him, you remember him saying, there's no way I could defeat the Avengers, they're too powerful, but if I get them to kill each other, then I could finally have my vengeance. Like, this was the main goal that made me realize, holy crap, that's exactly what he just did. But as I said before, this string of convenience that he did to get there, way too coincidental for my liking, but the end goal I felt like was so good. Like, that's basically the whole theme of Civil War, and his end goal was...
It was very successful.
Very successful and very well done. And I felt like T'Challa finally had his vengeance. Like, he could have killed Zemo right then and there, but he didn't because he wanted to prove that like he was better than him. And that I felt like was a very good near end scene. But as far as the actual end scene goes, Stark provides Rhodes with skeletal leg braces to allow him to walk again, while Rogers breaks his allies out of the raft. So many Avengers got hurt in this movie, emotionally and physically. Like, Rhodes is paralyzed now, and he has to have these robotic limbs or whatever. Or, not limbs, they're like, it's like an exoskeleton to help him bring him back up. And like, everyone is torn from this experience, and they just don't feel like they can trust anyone anymore. And I felt like,
and that's exactly what that one guy foresaw. I don't remember what his name is. He's the guy with he's an Avenger. He has the red face.
Oh, Vision.
Yeah, Vision knew exactly what was going on. He was just like, this is just gonna end up into a bloodshed. And sure enough.
Was this during the first main fight, or?
I think it was before, cause he had that. I don't remember that female's name. He tried to
Wanda.
he tried to lock Wanda in that house because he didn't want her going out, because he saw a lot of good in her, and he just he knew that the public despised her,
right,
and didn't think she was worth living, and
wait, he didn't think she was worth
living. Or they didn't. Sorry, the public did.
Rephrasing, because in just like in the comics, Vision actually has a crush on the Scarlet Witch. The ending to this movie is like the equivalent of the ending of Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. The bad guys won. Mm-hmm. And I honestly felt like, and I can probably agree with that, this is probably the #1 greatest superhero movie in Canada, because of the of how torn the Avengers are at the end of the film, and how pretty much the bad guys won. It is never in success where a true character is revealed, but in failure. Mm-hmm. And that's what I felt like made this movie so amazing. So honestly, I felt like this story, the entire story of this movie, I felt like was really slow in the beginning to build up the exposition. A couple of unnecessary things. But once we get to the main fight, where it's Team Iron Man versus Team Captain America, that's when the movie really starts taking off.
Yeah, it picks up fast.
So fast. Yeah. And I think it's definitely worth the exposition wait. Mm. It's definitely my second favorite superhero movie, next to The Dark Knight, obviously.
You said that already. You repeated it again.
Like I said, I hate repeats. I posted on Twitter saying that I wasn't sure what to think about this movie, but now that I'm actually talking about the whole thing, I realize how much I really like this movie. Mm-hmm. So now that we've gone through the story, let's move on to the characters.
New York, Washington, D.C., Sokovia. Okay, that's enough.
So since there are so many characters throughout this movie, we'll talk about the big main 3 characters that we felt like had the most impact in the movie. Starting with Chris Evans, who plays Stephen Rogers, aka Captain America. So his opinion on the whole Sokovia Accords, where the Avengers need to get in line with the government, he felt like the world's best hands is our own and not in the government. And that's totally why I feel like I support Cap completely, because like I said, the governments, I don't feel like do shit, and they'll keep the Avengers away from the stuff that really matter, from the people that really need it. I felt like he did really well. What you thought?
Yeah, I did too. There's nothing I really want to say about Captain America, just because it's not that I'm not fond of him, but I don't know too much about his back history, because I'll be honest here, I didn't watch the whole movie of the first Captain America. I technically only watched this last one, so I didn't know too much about him. I thought he was a good character, and in what Thomas said, he wrapped it up in what I agreed on.
Now we'll move on to Robert Downey Jr. As
Iron Man!
Tony Stark. While I have said that I don't really think Iron Man made the right decision, having the government tell the Avengers what to do and what they can't do, I understand where he's coming from. I understand he created Ultron, and so many people not a lot, but so many people did get hurt compared to like the world's population. He feels responsible. He just felt like he can't leave the fate of the world in his hands, so he moves it over to the government, which he later finds out might not have been the best idea. But I also want to talk about his reaction during the Sokovia, or what was it, the Siberian base, where he finds out the footage that Bucky Barnes kills both his parents, and then he gets like really, really mad. I think this is probably the only film featuring Iron Man that we see true anger in him, because most of the movies we see him as like the playboy billionaire who just has fun, who feels overwhelmed by the stuff that they face. So we see a little bit of fear, we see a lot of guilt, but we never see a lot of anger in him.
Yeah.
When he just lashes out, I just felt like, holy crap, he's actually he just like broke the truce just like that. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Just that angry side of him that we got near the end of the film, that was like, I just felt like I just couldn't believe it. And Robert Downey Jr. did really good.
Yeah.
Do you want to take over?
Yeah. So I would like to mention that Iron Man is definitely one of my all-time favorite superheroes.
Understandable.
He's my second favorite. The first is definitely Fantastic Four, because they're just awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed how in the film, it starts out where Iron Man's just Iron Man. He's having a good time. He's that guy, and only till the end he does get crazy and upset. I really enjoyed the whole sequence between him, how he recruits Spider-Man, and he's constantly making fun of him and mocking him. It was so great. And yes, Iron Man definitely does have a huge ego, but he also has a great heart, and that's what I love about his character. He's that guy that he knows what he wants and he goes after it, just like Captain America. And yeah, it's his character portrayal, Robert Downey Jr., as Tom said, incredible. No one could compare to him as Iron Man and Tony Stark.
Finally, we're going to talk about, oh god, how do you say the guy's last name? Daniel
I don't even know.
Names. It's like,
You should get the dictionary to
read that.
read it in speech. Yeah.
Okay. I'm really sorry.
Daniel Brithiel.
Brithiel. I hope we're pronouncing your name right. If not, I greatly apologize. Names are not my biggest strong suit. If Brendan was here, he'd be able to.
Yeah.
He'd be able to nail this. But anyway, we're talking about Daniel We're talking about Daniel Brithiel as Zemo.
Yeah.
So when we first meet Zemo, he's like, I just thought he was just this random guy who just walks up to this guy's house and like, he's obviously after something, and I just didn't know what his involvement in this movie would be. But once we find out like that his name is Zemo, I thought, oh god, this is about to get real. But in the back of my mind, I think, how is Zemo's obviously planning something? It's like, what's his plan? Because it looked like his plan just started, I thought, like, what exactly could he...
Like, what's going on in his head?
Yeah, like, what could he be planning, and how is this going to affect the movie? Because apparently his plan started when he framed the Winter Soldier for the bombing. And obviously we didn't realize it. I just saw him as just this random guy, but once he said his name was Zemo, I was like, okay, now things are gonna get interesting. And then later on we find out that he's involved in the bombing, he's involved in finding the Winter Soldiers and killing them for no reason. But as his character portrayal goes, like, we only get that moment where we find out everything about him. Like, he's the Sokovia victim during the Age of Ultron incident, and we find out that his he lost a lot of people.
Was
during
he
that day.
in Age of Ultron?
If he was, I don't remember. Like, there were a lot of people in that in a place now. A lot of extras too. Maybe they showed like a brief scene somewhere with him, and then I just kind of laid it off because I just thought he was just some random dude. Daniel did really good being Zemo as like a tortured soul who just wants the Avengers to pay.
Yeah, he wanted revenge.
Oh yeah,
basically.
like just pretty much any stereotypical guy just wants vengeance on stronger people. You know, it's that kind of story. But at the same time, he won, and just like his plan works, his plan succeeds. The Avengers are torn emotionally. He in essence won.
It's almost like Lord of the Rings too, where the Fellowship just breaks at the end.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note right here that I've never seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies, so feel free to give to me for not ever seeing any of those movies. I actually have VHS movies of Lord of the Rings, and I've never watched them.
Well, you know
At
what?
all.
We're gonna watch them together sometime. It'll be fun. It's
We'll
great.
see what happens.
Yeah.
But in any case, I felt like he did really good at portraying a tortured soul, Sokovia, who wants the Avengers to destroy themselves from the inside. That's the main point I feel like we should take from his character. I felt like it was really good.
Yeah.
So now that we've gone over the characters, let's talk about the effects, starting with the good old film score. And I'm gonna hand it over to David because finally he can talk about the film score. Take it away.
I was listening to the score just recently, and when we went to the film, of course, Henry Jackman composed and conducted the score. I don't know which orchestra he conducted, but I should. Do you want to pull it up and see who it was? I should have done my homework.
Henry Jackman, the composer of Captain America, The Winter Soldier, returns to score the sequel. Jackman noted that the industrial elements of the track, The Winter Soldier, from the previous film's soundtrack were a good indication of what the soundtrack to Civil War would sound like, though he cautioned it was just a jumping off point since the Ruskos are looking for something new, similar with a twist. A soundtrack album was released by Hollywood Records on May 6, 2016.
Okay, so it was Hollywood Records. So I don't think he used an orchestra. I think he just used some sort of
computer program.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah. Anyway, it was great. It definitely captured the Marvel essence. So I really enjoyed that. There was lots of woodwinds, lots of brass. Especially my one favorite scene in the whole movie had to be when we first see the title screen pop up, Captain America Civil War. The music just crescendos and crescendos, and it just and then it builds, and it was so good. I was getting goosebumps all over my body after hearing this, and I'm like, this is gonna be a good score. And yeah, so that motif just captured the whole essence of the whole movie, and I believe that motif kept coming back once in a while throughout the whole movie. I don't remember completely, but from what I remember, that did it. I know it came at the end before the credits rolled. Lots of good heavy percussion in it throughout the whole movie, like especially the battle between Captain America team and Iron Man team. So much timpani and snare drum, just going back and forth between each other as Iron Man's flying. Like you get that accent attacking on each other feel. Yeah, so it was a great score, and I'm glad to have talked about it with you guys. So take it away.
Now that we've gone over everything in the film, I felt like this movie definitely lives up to the hype, and I completely agree with the commercial saying that this movie is the #1 best superhero movie in Canada to date. next to Dark Knight, but that's just me. I felt like the movie had a really good story, really good tension, character portrayals were all spot on, and it was a nice addition to finally bring in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was, because that's something we've been wanting for years, and it finally happened.
Yeah. I just wish it was Tobey Maguire, because he's my favorite.
Yeah, I think he's like, yeah, Tobey Maguire's our favorite.
Yeah.
This new guy isn't that bad.
If anything, he was a better Spider-Man. He didn't make for a good Peter Parker.
That's a bit up for debate, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll see how he does in later movies.
Yeah.
But in any case, I would definitely give this movie a 9 out of 10. I definitely felt like it lived up to the hype, and it is definitely a good movie to watch. Like, as I said before, I walked out of the theater not knowing what to think, but now that I've actually had the chance to talk about it fully, I really like this movie so much now. 9 out of 10. That's my rating. Take it away.
Cool. 9 out of 10. I'm not the biggest superhero guy. Like, I don't like to watch too many superhero movies. Iron Man is definitely my top-notch favorite superhero movie of all time, as I said before. And I had a lot of expectations going into this movie. Like, a lot. I was expecting that there needed to be a good storyline, which totally met my expectations, even higher than what I expected. I was expecting a great score, not like that stupid Pixels movies we saw earlier, which met my expectations even higher. It totally blew my mind. The acting was phenomenal. The actors were great. Just the whole cast was phenomenal. So everything was like beyond and above my expectations, and I was just so happy about that. So I'm gonna downright give it a 9.9 out of 10.
Whoa!
Right there.
What's the 0.1 that doesn't give it to the 10?
I would agree with you in the whole Spider-Man thing with the mask.
The mask,
I
yeah.
didn't think they needed that, so that's what went down that 1%. But 9.9 is really.
Like I said, the ice felt like completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But in any case, that'll be it for this episode of Movie Nerd Corner. Let me know in the comments below what other movies you would like us to see. But until then, I'm Tom Leo.
I'm David.K.
And we are signing off. Why are you copying me? You son of...